He loves these balls, and unless you're using a higher value reward, he'll just go grab the ball and run off with it because he's so crazy about it. So I'm going to use some chicken right here, which I don't normally give him. So we're usually using that other natural balance roll treat for regular training. But I'm going to use something really special, and it doesn't have to be chicken, but it could be cheese or something like that. So let's see if this works. Hey, buddy, go. You say go. He goes, he grabs the ball over there. Come. Comes back. He's got to drop the ball to get the piece of chicken. Good boy. Come. Good boy. Go. Come. Good boy, good. Come get the chicken. There you go, good. Go. Come. Just keep filming it, okay? Good boy, good. He drops the ball, gets the chicken, go. Come. Good boy, drops the ball. We have this bucket full of balls here. Go. Come. Hey, buddy, do you want the chicken or not? He's got to make the right decision. Come on, you want this chicken? There you go. He'll drop the ball, but you have more of them here. Go. One more time. Come. Good boy. So he's learning that the balls are endless. It's an endless supply of balls. Go. And he gets paid when he drops it, but then he gets to chase one anyway. Come. See, we have to teach him the way it goes. Hey, look, good boy. We're teaching him the way it goes here. We just started this, so he just is learning this. Go. One last, I said it before, but this is the last time. Come. There, he's like almost out of his mind when it comes to these balls. Good boy. So you just have a whole bucket full of tennis balls, and even if he drops it halfway, all you care about really is that he comes back to you, gets the treat, and then you throw another one, and when you're done, you just pick up all the balls, put them in the bucket for tomorrow or later on in the day. It helps if you do this exercise before you feed him because you want him to be hungry, obviously. And you use a high value reward because the balls, he's so crazy about the balls, he'll, with just regular natural balance roll or some sort of dog training treat, it's not enough for him to let go of the ball. So you have to use something like cheese or chicken or something special. Okay. So we have him sit. We always open the door and step through. He waits there. Waits till we come back. Okay, walks through with us. Okay, buddy, come on. Doesn't want to go inside because he wants to chase the ball more, but to do this for you here. Close the door, sit. I just want to show you. It's much harder for him if you close the door, or if the door is closed and then you have him sit and then you open it, because the door will. Okay, we'll have him sit closer to the light so you can see him sit. The door can trigger him to pop up out of his sit, so we always have him sit first, then we open the door, because it's harder for him to handle. So he waits till you come back. Okay, every doorway is considered a boundary, of course, and that's what we do at every doorway. And we're about to go on a walk out on the street, so you're going to see us do the gateway and the curb next. Now we're taking the walk out in public. You have him sit, you step out, he's waiting. See every gateway, every doorway. Okay, sit. He's a dark colored dog, so I want to make sure you see that he's sitting and waiting. He won't come through this boundary without me coming back to get him. Okay, he walks through with me. Come on, bud. And then always do these left turns. Whenever you have to turn around and do something, do the left turns. Sit. And then at the curb, we're going to do the walk around, sit, stay. You always start the walk this way. You start on the inside of the front door. Because if you do that, you'll be very calm when you start your walk out here. When you let him be free, you've had a good, okay, let's cross the street. A good 2 minutes of starting the walk where he's waiting at all the boundaries. And instead of pulling you out through the doorway and the gateways and he's all out of control, sit. We're finally on the other side of the street. It was training mode all the way this way. We have him sit here, and here is where we say go, and the free time walk starts, and he can do whatever he wants until you come to the next curb. And every block, every curb, I do that, and then it's a sit stay at the curb like that. It's walking across in training mode, sit stay, and a release, and then more free time. But you want to have him stop at every curb you come to on your walks. Okay, let's go, buddy. This way. Come on, let's go this way. We're going to try a little sit stay here in the middle of all the commotion. And there's a lot of commotion here, a lot of people walking past, lots of stuff going past. It's a pretty good sit stay compared to the old jumpy Bodhi. But of course we practice this a lot. And you should do it if you're going to practice any of this. We're going to, somebody was talking to me and I lost my train of thought. So he's staying in a sit stay. That was really good. The lady talked to him, but he still stayed there. He did turn towards her. So all I did was, okay, I said sit, and he's getting a lot better of just going immediately because that was a little bit of a challenge up for him for a while. But you can, if you have any problem with him not sitting at the moment you say it, you can just pull up a little bit. And you may have seen me, I slightly pulled up as I said it. Timing is everything, so you use leash tension at the very moment that you say the command. You don't say it, wait for him to ignore you and then do it, because you'll get stuck in that pattern for his whole life. So it's little tension as you say it. Stay is built into sit, so you don't have to say stay. I've never said stay, and you've seen his stay is really good. You can give him a reward when he does something exceptional like this. The reward comes when you come back and stand back next to him. Eye contact, good, straight down. That's the way to do it. Not like this. Not this, where you, his valet, feed him out of your trough hand or whatever, the giant hand comes out of the sky. No, it's eye contact. It may seem like a little detail, but it's the little details that matter with this. Eye contact, good. He's actually looking me in the eyes as he gets a reward, and I say good at that very moment. So that's the way to reward him. With sits, only reward him with when he does something exceptional like a sit stay like this. And there's two ways to release him out of a sit. Either you pat his chest and say, go, or I'm going to do both, okay? So to let him be free, off the clock, make sure he really waits. See how he's really waiting? I came straight across like this. I didn't come out like that to lure him to pop up. I just come across like this. The leash is always loose. I pat his chest and I say, go. That's how you do it. So you're not petting him, you're not rubbing him. It's actually very simple. You're sending him away from you. Now if sit, I want him to stay on the clock and walk with me. I'm going to hold the leash coming up. The leash is coming out the back of my hand. No. Like this, so that I can do little taps if he goes ahead of me. And I'm just going to tap my leg with that hand and say, okay. And that's how you release him out of a sit stay when you're going to do more training, when he's still on the clock. Sit. You see how it's so easy? It comes out the back of your hand, so it's so easy. You do have to do that. It's right there, just like that. So make sure you hold the leash like that at all times and keep the leash loose so you can always have a little slack to tap it. Tap it and turn if you need to. So tapping and turning is really important when you're walking. We're about to walk a little out of a sit stay, so I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to tap and turn. See how my body does all the work and he stays next to me? Tap and turn. If you want to practice a really great exercise, just walk down the sidewalk or the street or your driveway, sit. Okay, walk 10 feet. Okay, buddy. left, big left circle, sit, walk 10 feet, okay, big left circle, sit. Great exercise to do if you have any kind of trouble with him on a leash. Why not just do this every day anyway while he's so good? This is the day that he's leaving, so this is how he is the day he left. He's really getting it together with the training. So why not just do that every day for 2 minutes anyway? Do 6 or 8 of those in a row, and he'll never go back to his old ways of pulling.
So excuse me, can you sit right there?
We're actually filming this right now.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry about that.
So if you want this kind of great behavior in a situation that has a lot going on, like your environments can be, just keep doing the handling this way, and you'll see he'll keep getting better. Okay, bud. Down. He's getting a lot better at his down, but of course I want him to just drop as soon as I say it. He's not quite there yet. Some dogs learn it right away, other dogs it takes a while, but you saw what I did, and that's the way to have him get there eventually. If everybody that practices down does that, you say it at the moment that you reinforce that down, and you barely have to put any tension on the leash, depending on where he is. This is a very high stress environment, so it's harder for any dog to focus when they're in a high stress environment. There's Amtrak right there, you can see that probably. It's really noisy here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So that's why we do the video here, so we can show you that you can still do this pretty well in a real life situation that's actually probably more stressful than any situation that he's ever been in. We practice in these types of situations every day to get him ready to come back home to you. So the way that I reward him in that down stage, just like on the mat exercise and that other clip on this video. Good. Place it on the ground in front of him. He waits till you withdraw, and he takes it off the ground. We don't say stay, obviously. Stay is built into down as well as sit. So you only say one word, down. If you have to reinforce it with your foot, you do that. The stay is rock solid, but he still just needs to work on that down just a little bit more. The way that he's waiting to be released is you stand back next to him, pat your leg and say, okay. He stands up, you say sit, and we'll wait till this thing passes by. With your right hand, you're going to pat his chest and say, go, and he's free. The reason that we release him out of a down and have him sit and release him from a calm sit stay is because it's so much easier to enforce a very calm release from a sit stay. Dogs tend to hop up and run around when you release them straight out of a down. So since it's so much about the release, the calm release, as you can see through all the training, it's about the details. How you reward him calmly. The calm release out of the sit stay and the down stay. The less words, less talking, less funny noises or no funny noises, hand gestures, snapping of fingers, there's none of that. So the idea is we handle him, we train him to create the byproduct, which is a calmer dog 24/7. When I'm practicing the recall command with him, I always have a leash on him, unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency, even at this point, he'll probably come every time. But when you're practicing, make sure that you have a way to gently but firmly reinforce that command, and that's the leash. And then if you practice this way and you keep practicing, he'll have that recall off leash every time if you keep this up. It's left hand leash, right hand reward. Always call him when you're practicing, always call him when he's paying attention to something else. When he's looking away from you, like that, come! Good. So you saw that I called him to come to me. I had the treat in a closed fist because in an emergency, he's not going to know that's empty. You're not going to have a treat on you and you're not going to have a leash. So call him to this, and with a treat, And he'll always love to come to this, and he won't know why, and it won't even matter when there's no treat in there. In an emergency, you'll still maybe even save his life someday if you're calling him out of the street or something like that. So always call him to that closed hand. If he won't stop staring at you, and you're just by yourself practicing, create your own distraction. Toss a piece of food, he'll go get it. Come! Call him away from that. Good. Also, notice how I backed away. I backed away and he rushed to me. The reason that he rushes to me when I call him to come is because since day one, I've backed away. When you back away, the dog is drawn to you. They can't help it. Of course, there's nothing in this hand either. Good boy! If I call him in an emergency to a closed, to an empty target hand, I'm going to love him up extra when he comes to me, and he's going to barely miss the fact that there's no food in there. So back away when you practice. That makes him run to you. Later on, when you can't back away, he'll run to you because that's how you practice. And always that left hand leash, right hand reward. Very simple. Do it the same way every time, and it becomes like second nature. You don't even have to think about it. Sit. We always walk Bodhi up to the person that we are introducing to, step away from him, he stays in a sit stay, hand the person a little treat, and I can even do a sit stay where I just kind of walk around him both ways. It's just kind of a basic sit stay. The dog should be able to wait there and not get up, and see he's completely transfixed on this person with a treat. But he's waiting because he knows the way this works is he doesn't go over there and get the treat and get petted until I release him, the person holding the leash. So he's going to be on my left with my right hand. The leash is loose. You see how he's like ready to go, but he's still waiting. If he jumps the gun and he goes before you release him, just tap this and say no, and he'll go back. So he's waiting. Go say hi, give him the treat, pet him, and then I'm going to say, come. Good. I'm going to step into him, have him sit. We'll just do this 3 times, but we do this little game every day with different people every day. And I don't have to walk around him every time. I'm just going to do it this one last time. Always on your left. Always keeping this leash loose. If he pops up before you release him, just tap and release. It's a tap and release. It's a signal you give him. It's not to cause pain. And you're never restraining him, because if you hold him there, as soon as you let go of it, he's going to go. So there's never a tight leash ever. No, make sure he doesn't touch your hand. Make sure he really waits until you tap his chest and say, go say hi. Come. Call him back to you. Good. And then one last time, sit. It's just a great exercise to practice because it teaches the dog to not jump. The treat and the hands are all down here on ground level. There's no reason for him to jump because it's all there. If he does jump, your hands go up and you say no. And he learns that the jumping actually makes all the good stuff stop. So make sure that the person getting greeted knows, especially if it's somebody that you know well that's practiced this before. If he jumps, nope. And then you can also call him back to come to you as well to get him out of that situation. And over time, this is a fairly big problem with him jumping all the time. Probably practiced like thousands of repetitions of that. So you will see it get better week after week after week. You do keep doing this and handling him this way, and you see him getting much better. The jumping kind of fades away. Go say hi. Come. Good. If that leash ever gets tangled, like I don't know if you saw that, but you sort of stepped over it was sort of tangled up in him. If you're in an enclosed yard or inside the house or something, you can drop it, and then when you call him back to you, just take it from here, and then you get it, rather than getting down there and trying to untangle it, which would just be kind of a fiasco. Just send him over, let go of it, call him back to come, grab it like this, and then take it out from underneath his legs. And that is your greeting routine. Okay. Sit. Always walk him up to the mat, have him sit with your right hand. He's going to be on your left, of course, with your right hand. See how he really wants to go to that mat. He loves this little game. In his mind, it's a game that we play. And really all I did was when he went forward, when he jumped the gun, because I didn't release him yet, I just went like this, and he kind of put himself back. So really, in so much of this training, less is more. There's less commands, way less leash tension. It's just some signals, taps at any given moment. And if I wasn't explaining all this, I barely would have said anything so far. So he's waiting for me to tap his chest and say, go. Walk over with him, say down. Even though he would be triggered to do it automatically because he's done this so many times, you should still say the command as he goes down. And then you always reward him calmly in the middle of the mat like that. And you put it on the mat and he waits. Good, until you withdraw. He's a little bit too close to me there, so I'm going to back him up a little bit. You can back him up by just kind of stepping into him, and he'll back up. And then you want to get a little bit of space here. See how he's so much farther away? It's so much easier to enforce this calm no, this calm delivery of the reward. Good. So that's really important, to make sure that he's not grabbing it out of your hand, to make sure he's not like this far away from your hand, and that he calmly, and we're trying to make it calmly over time, calmly waits until you withdraw and takes the treat off the mat. So if you swing in like this, it's so much better. Place it on the mat and make him wait for a good 3 seconds. Good, and then say good when he takes it. So I got the leash in my left hand, my right hand takes it out of my treat pouch, and I sort of swing in. Good, instead of going like this, you do this and you'll trigger any dog to jump up and try to grab it from you. So reward him like that when you're doing the mat. Or when he's in a downstay in public, it's the same thing. And we can practice just basic downstays where he stays there when we walk around, of course. Pulling on the leash is a big one. Like, all dogs get up and come my way if I pull on the leash when they first get here, but then we work on that, and he's not doing that. He won't move if I pull on the leash. He gets a reward for that. Good. He's in a fenced yard, so I can drop the leash and walk far away now. And I'm going to walk over here to the gate. I'm going to leave the yard. Both gates, go out, come back. I'm actually trying to get him to make a mistake, to see if he'll make a mistake, and then I can show you how to correct a mistake. But he didn't make a mistake there. He gets a big reward. So that was kind of hard. A lot of dogs can't do that, or it takes a long time for them to learn to stay in a downstay when we're leaving in and out through those gates. He gets a reward for this, a bigger reward, because that was a more difficult situation to handle. Good. See how I pulled back? And I would say no, but I was talking to you. But if I was just doing this with him, if he kind of inched forward like that, I'd say no, and he would back up, and then he would wait, and then you would give it to him the right way. So let's go through here. Let's see if I can go through here. See if he'll pop up. Close this gate behind me. He's over there. It's behind him. I'm going to disappear around the corner here. And he got up. Okay. So when he makes a mistake, you say no. And that doesn't count. Turning around to face me does not count. Nope. You just gently but firmly reset him. So now I found something that is difficult for him, and it's usually more difficult if you're doing something way far behind them anyway. They want to at least turn their bodies to look at you. It's okay if he turns his head and looks at me, but his body has to stay pointed this way. So now we're going to remind him, we're going to add something to this. I'm going to remind him what to keep doing. Down. Go through this gate. Go this way, disappear from view, and come back, and he's there. So he is getting it. Anytime he makes a mistake, usually now, I find something that makes him pop up, and I reset him, and I remind him what to keep doing. Like I said, down, and then he'll get it, and then that's another thing that we can do. Nope. Good. That doesn't trigger him to pop up, and then we find something else that triggers him to pop up, and we work through that. And every time you do that, he gets a little bit better. His downstay gets a little bit more solid. He has to stay calm. He has to be focused. He has to be in the moment to stay here like this with us doing things, going around and going different places, doing, performing new distractions. And when we release him out of this exercise, he's a little bit calmer every day because of that, because we're training his brain. And then we're after the byproduct of this, which is over time, he gets calmer and calmer and easier to manage. So the only way he leaves this mat is when you come back, stand back next to him like this. You got the leash in your left hand, you pat your leg like this. Okay, lead him off, tell him to sit, and then you release him, go. And you always want to pick up this mat because all the dogs want to go hang out on this mat like it's a doggy bed, and it's not. This is only for this one thing. It's only for work. It's a very special place where he only does one thing. He only does this, what we just showed you, nothing else. That's what makes it so powerful. His doggy bed is a free time place. He can come and go as he pleases. Don't do any training on that, and don't do any free time on this. And you'll see the training is much better if you keep those two places divided and keep each one for its just one specific purpose. This is only for work. And he never goes on here without your permission. He never comes off here without your permission, just like you saw in the video. Okay. Sit. Lead him up to the crate. We have him sit. Open the door. He may not want to go in here at first because this is not where his crate usually is. And it's a little bit smaller than his usual crate. We have him in an extra giant Great Dane crate. But you see, he does kind of want to run in there. He does love his crate because in his mind, good stuff happens in the crate. So I'm going to, this door won't stay open, so I'm going to manage this somehow. So I'm keeping the leash loose. Go, toss in some treats there. If he ever starts to not want to go in the crate for you, that's the way to do it. Just do that same motion of sending him away. Just like when you release him, you pat his chest and say go. Just have some treats and say go, and he'll go in. He gets the treats, he turns around to face you, give him some more treats. You take off his prong collar and his choke chain, which he doesn't have on now, he just has a prong collar. And then you hang the prong collar on the door, and the leash and the choke chain, which is just a choker chain, that's just hanging loose on his neck in case this prong collar ever comes off out in public. You don't lose him, and that comes into play. The choke chain's never to be used for training because it would be really dangerous, and there's no safety on it. It would, it's just metal, and it would just close like that and could hurt his neck. But the prong collar, although it might look a little scary, we use the smallest one made, and he's very sensitive to it because it is very close together like that. But you see throughout the videos how we're just tapping. It's just about the signal. It closes all the way around, the same pressure on the back as the front. So that's why we use it. It's just like power steering on your dog, and it's not meant to cause pain, and of course we don't use it for that, and we don't usually correct hardly ever anyway. So there's usually a misunderstanding about these prong collars, but we're using them the way they should be used. They're just to make it easier to handle the dog. So that prong collar goes here. If you just throw it down, it gets tangled up in itself. So you want to hang it up on the door. His routine in my house is to sleep overnight in the crate. We have bedding in the crate. He is in a Great Dane crate, which is like probably this high and this long, just because he's kind of a big dog. This is an extra large, which is supposedly a German Shepherd size, but I put him in the next size up just because he's kind of a big dog. He seems more comfortable in a big crate. And we feed him in the crate. So he's in the crate, you go get his bowl of food, you open the door, and you put that food in there and close the door. The door's always closed. It's closed when he's in, and it's closed when he's out, because the whole power of the crate is that you control his access in and out of his den. Dogs are naturally den animals. He already obviously thinks that's a great place to be in. It's all happy times going in there. He always gets a treat before the door closes. We come in to get him, like I'll do in a minute, and he gets a treat when I come in to get him, so he just thinks that's the greatest place ever. Bones and chewies, things that he loves to spend time with in there. Everything in the crate. So don't give him bones or anything out just in common areas. You'll squander your power of making the crate seem like a cool place to him. So bones, chewies, treats, food, everything is in there. He's in and out of the crate at our place constantly. At least every hour and a half he's out, and he might spend 45 minutes out loose, and then he's back in. So he's constantly in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's always this routine. We take off you don't have to take it off every time, but we usually do, just so that he gets good practice with it. You take the collar off, and then so when you come back to get him a while later, you put it on, you attach it to the leash. It's already attached, ready to go. He waits. You can give him a treat. Just make sure that when you open the door and you go to get him, give him a treat. Just make sure that his head is inside, so you stick the treat in there. And then he's waiting here while you just put this prong collar on. It's really simple. You can do it, you'll be able to do it by feel in no time at all. And he's supposed to wait in there until I release him to come out. So with the door open, he's supposed to wait. If he tries to come out before you release him, just give it these little bounces. No. Even though he didn't try to come out. And no. So he's trying to come out now. So he needs to wait. We have this little problem with the door opening, so I'll step back. He needs to wait like this, and this is what he does in the house. And he needs to wait until you say, okay, and then he'll come out. And then make sure you always close his door, because if you leave it open, he can go in and out. You're going to squander your power of being the one that controls his access into his den where good things happen. Just using this crate changes the perception or his perception of you and people to handle him, because if he has to get your permission to go in and out of his favorite place, his den, then you must be in charge of other parts of his life as well. And although it's not the only thing that makes him perceive you differently, it's a big piece of the puzzle. So use the crate in the way that we show you, and you'll see that he's going to be following your directions better in other situations as well. Okay.